All right, so it's been about a day since UFC Whitehouse went down, and to say the least, I am pretty heartbroken by that main event. If I'm being completely honest, I haven't really made it evident on the channel since I only started a few weeks ago, but I'm a fanboy
Boy, the
of
man
Ilia
was a
Topuria.
fanboy. He
I bought
bought
the merch
t-shirts
and
of mine.
everything. I train in this stuff. I try to do Ilia Topuria combos at the gym. I like all this shit on Instagram. I'm a big fan of Ilia Topuria, guys. And I knew Justin Gaethje would give him issues, but I didn't really think for a second in my mind that Justin Gaethje would ever actually have a chance of dominating Ilia Topuria over an extended period of time and breaking him with damage and making him quit on the stool.
Huh?
All my friends were just huddled around the TV just in disbelief at what we were looking at. Um, initially, I was excited because Topuria fights are pretty short, so I could tell that we were in for a war at the end of round one. But I did not think it was gonna go like this. I've as an Ilia Topuria fan, I've been watching this sport for 7 years now, and
I don't think I've ever put as much stock into a single fighter as I have in Ilia Topuria.
like I genuinely thought this guy was gonna be
The go to the sport.
I thought he was gonna go on and I knew he was a tiny ass dude though. I'm pretty sure he was supposed to fight at bantamweight in his first fight in the UFC. So it's just a really weird situation, guys. I'll be completely honest. Listen, I'm very happy for Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje is an absolute warrior. He's an OG of the game. I've picked against Justin Gaethje in a lot of fights. I made a lot of bad calls on Justin Gaethje throughout my time as an MMA fan, but I've always respected his style. He's always been a ton of fun to watch. He does a ridiculous amount of damage on people. It's absolutely insane. They've been cosmetically altered by Justin Gaethje. One thing that was very apparent in this fight is that Ilia made a few mistakes that could have definitely been avoided. He fought this fight on with a lot of his weight being on the back foot, which I thought left him very open to things like the 1-2 later on in the fight as he slowed down. We saw that in round 3 where he got absolutely cracked. Justin Gaethje's game plan was phenomenal in this fight. He was doing this thing that Trevor Whitman talked about, where he would stutter step, and then Ilia likes to hop a lot, and he would hop. Both his feet would be off the ground, so he would be completely motionless. He can't move anywhere. He can't defend himself. So Justin Gaethje would just light him up with shots, and that's how he ended up just getting battered and getting his face all fucked up in this fight. It was so weird to see. It was like watching spoilers for the boys, but it was like watching the end of season 5 where Homelander's just got the shit beat out of him. See him dominate in round 2, the body shots, but he totally blew his wad. He chased some submissions, which if you were the level of Islam or Habib on the ground like he said he is, you would have finished that fight. I think if he would have just jumped on him with ground and pound and tried to finish the fight regularly, he probably would have had a better shot at actually getting Justin out of there. That was definitely some questionable fight IQ from Ilia. I honestly think that his head just got really big.
Literally and figuratively.
But I know Ilia's talked about losing, but let's be honest, guys. The way he's moving outside of fights, he had this coming. If we're being honest, this was always gonna be in the cards. If he lost, he was gambling too much aura in these fights. I still think that he's a good fighter. I'm gonna cope a lot about this, but I see a lot of people who are switching up insanely hard on Ilia Topuria right now, and I do understand that the UFC fan base generally is very short-term oriented. Ilia's gonna get a smear campaign for the next few months, but we can't forget that this guy I think is still one of the best fighters in the UFC, without a doubt, at least the best strikers. And I'm gonna run through his division. I don't think that there's many fighters who beat him. I think that the Arm Monster Yukin fight is scary because if Arman is able to control Ilia on the ground, he's gonna be able to bust Ilia's face up. And we know Arman deals ridiculous amounts of damage with the ground and pound. So Ilia's face is gonna get just as fucked up. And Gaethje had such a nice game plan. I'm struggling to understand going into Ilia's next fight, what can this Gaethje fight show us if you're an opponent of Topuria's? Because I don't know if there's anyone who's really on the level of Gaethje. If I'm being honest, Gaethje is super good at what he does. Like the uppercuts in the clinch, like that was fantastic. Ilia Topuria dips his head down at like almost, and you've seen this in all of his fights. He dips his head down a ton when he's just to get his head out really quickly. So Justin Gaethje took advantage of that. We saw against Paddy how he uses that front headlock position. I think Justin Gaethje is just really underrated and has an ugly style, so we've just counted him out. But at 38 years old, he's just figured it out. He's got an insanely good ability to game plan for fighters. He's got like amazing physicality stats. He might not have the most like knockout power or the flashiest style or the best skills, but man, he puts it together like I don't know anybody else who does it as good as at lightweight right now, other than maybe like Armand or Yukian. Like Ilia, Armand, and Justin are like the top 3 right now, I think, in that division 100%. It was just an insane holy shit moment. I enjoyed the spectacle definitely, and like I'm extremely happy for Justin. You know that he called his shot. Like he literally did what Ilia Topuria always does. Called his shot perfectly. He said that he was gonna beat Paddy in January. Then he said he's gonna beat Ilia at the White House and become champion. And we all thought he was stupid to say that, and then he went out and did it. So we got to give this guy insane amounts of respect. Obviously, people on TikTok are sharing like photos of Ilia's wrap or Justin's hand wraps and like the glove. Like that's like the biggest cope ever. Like we're not, guys, come on, we're not gonna say that Ilia Topuria was cheated. He got clobbered, guys. Justin Gaethje has like thudding power. He just damages your face. Sean Strickland, I feel like, has the same thud. For what I think is next for both these fighters, I think Ilia needs a lot of time off, and obviously Ilia's an inactive fighter, so I'm expecting he's going to take a lot of time off. I think he definitely could face like a Paddy Pimblett in his next fight. I think that would be a good matchup for him, but also like it just depends on how that fight with BSD goes and what the timelines are looking like. Maybe BSD as well. I think he would put BSD to sleep still. Like, I still think Ilia is a top 3 fighter in this division at lightweight. I see people saying he needs to move down to featherweight. He can't even make the weight anymore. I don't know. People, a lot of Ilia Topuria fans are going to be jumping ship, and that's fine by me. Like, this is a sick fighter regardless. I'm always going to, like, I've been, like, looking at this shirt this whole video. Like, it's like looking at, like, the Spider-Man suit. Like, what the fuck, you know? Or, like imagine being, like, a Spurs fan right now. It's just, like, looking at, like, a Wemby jersey. It's like, what am I doing? Nah, man. I still believe in Ilia Topuria. And as for Justin Gaethje, if I was Justin Gaethje, I don't think you're ever going to get a better win in your career. I would retire. But if you want, like, you can stay around, beg for tons of money, and maybe fight. Like, if you're going to be the best champion possible, you would fight Arman Tsarukyan because he deserves it the most. But I think that that's unlikely for Justin Gaethje, and I think he's probably going to look for a rematch with Charles Oliveira. So I think that that'll be a good fight. I think that'll be, like, a fun title fight that we can see. Really, like, one last hoorah from that, like, division of lightweights before the new generation fully takes over. Up next, we had Cyril Gane versus Alex Pereira. Listen, I told you guys that this would happen.
Yeah, I knew this was happening.
Did you?
Yeah.
So you capture.
Yeah, I know this. I know this is happening. Thank you.
And I told you guys that Cyril Gane would just be more fast and be more technical than Alex Pereira. He just showed a bit, not like levels, but he just showed that he was always one step ahead of Pereira, who didn't look that great at this heavyweight division, if I'm being honest. His ass was huge, and it didn't look like he put any muscle anywhere else. So, kind of questionable heavyweight move from Alex Pereira. And he just couldn't get the hands going. Cyril Gane did fantastic work with his jab and his inside low kick in this fight. He just kept interrupting Alex's rhythm throughout the entire fight, just staying elusive and on the outside. Alex ended up getting dropped by the jab into the finishing sequence, which is the most controversial part of the fight, which is the elbows. There were definitely like 3 or 4 elbows that landed to the back of the head. Like, Cyril dropped him twice on the feet. I really think that that's kind of just cope, because like Alex Pereira has one of the bigger fan bases in the UFC, so obviously we're really upset that he lost. This was a huge fight for his legacy, and he didn't have a very good showing, so I genuinely think that that's a bit of cope. Cyril Gane is looking like one of the best heavyweights in the world right now. he definitely has a claim to it, which I think makes that Tom Aspinall fight so much more interesting. Because that first fight, we were all just like,
whatever, mandatory Cyril gone title shot.
but now that fight has way bigger implications. And with the history of the eye poke, I'm like super excited for that fight. I can't wait for Tom Aspinall to come back and face Cyril Gane. And as for Alex Pereira, he could stay at heavyweight. I don't want him to stay at heavyweight. He could stay up there and fight like a Josh Hokit. I think he looks way better at 205. So I would just, because Alex Pereira has been like a quick turnaround guy. If he doesn't need time, then maybe he could fight like maybe the winner of Khalil Roundtree versus Magomed Ankalaev. I don't want to see him fight Yuri again. Maybe just do that. Alex Pereira's in a tough spot after this fight, after vacating the belt and not just being a regular guy now. But he'll be back, I'm sure. He's still like one of the best strikers in the in the heavier divisions. So you can pick a fighter to lose and still love them like as a fan. Like obviously I'm a fan of Alex Pereira, guys. Just because I picked Cyril Gane, who's a natural heavyweight who like plays basketball, it doesn't mean I don't like Alex Pereira. I've been a fan of Alex Pereira his whole career. I'm just picking him in a fight. So I think that this was a bit of a disappointing, like, I don't want to say anticlimactic, but like kind of like a shitter finish. And it just was more sad than anything else. Alex Pereira kind of went out sad in this fight. So up next, we got Sean O'Malley versus Amin Zahabi, which also went down. This was not really a fight. Sean O'Malley busted up Amin Zahabi whenever he was in range, but Zahabi was constantly just on the back foot, just skirting around the octagon. Literally, like, I've never seen someone fight like that in the UFC, just running on the back foot and only going for really this inside low kick that deals like little to no damage. I think O'Malley probably felt a few of them, like obviously it's a fight, but Sean O'Malley was just building up his confidence going into that. And, you know, come the end of round 2, Amin Zahabi is trading in the boxing finally, because like the boxing was Amin Zahabi's best attribute, but he's just completely outclassed by Sean O'Malley, so there wasn't much for him to do in this fight. I think they both traded twos, I think, or maybe O'Malley went for a jab, something like that. Just 2 straight shots from both. Amin gets dropped, follow-up shots by Sean O'Malley. He goes down. I saw a lot of people like George Masvidal were fucking complaining about the stoppage when, dude, Amin Zahabi was completely discombobulated. His sonic coins were literally all over the ground. I don't know what you guys want to watch gore sometimes, I swear. Like, Amin Zahabi was out of that. So what I want to see next for Sean O'Malley, I really think that there's a high possibility that we see Sean O'Malley fighting Peter Yan in a rematch, which I love that matchup, but I just think it's kind of fucked up to not give the trilogy to Merab. Merab fought like 5 times last year. He lost to Peter Yan in his last fight after taking like a crazy year. He deserves the trilogy, but I know that his nose is still fucked up, and the UFC might just tell him, hey, go fix your nose while we run this fight. And, you know, O'Malley would get another title shot. I could definitely see that happening, but if that's not gonna happen, I don't really know who O'Malley would fight at the top. Maybe like the winner of like a Corey Sandhagen versus Mario Bautista would also be a good fight if they don't give the title shot to Sean. But I really see them giving it to Sean. Just knowing how the Paramount era has been going. And as for Amin Zahabi, I'm not really sure. David Martinez pulled out of his fight with Umar Nurmagomedov, so maybe give him to Amin Zahabi. Josh Hokit versus Derek Lewis. This was a squash match. Derek Lewis threw like 5 strikes in this whole fight. Hokit broke him with like the first takedown. I think Derek Lewis might have maybe done a single free week of jiu-jitsu, but he didn't feel like buying the gi. I don't think anyone was picking Derek Lewis to actually win this fight against Josh Hokit. Derek Lewis was just holding his hands up on bottom like a baby fighting his older brother and Josh Hokit. We've seen Derek Lewis fight like this for so many fights in a row now, so I think there's a high likelihood that he retires. There's a high likelihood that Derek Lewis just gets like an unranked Brazilian or like an unranked blob at heavyweight, like someone literally in their first, is someone getting their UFC debut in a main event in like Nashville with Derek Lewis, and then Derek Lewis just gets a free knockout win. The UFC's been running that strategy for a few years now, so they could do that with him. And as for Josh Hokit, I don't want to see the Sergey Pavlovich fight yet, just because I think that Pavlovich probably KOs him. But I would like to see the Volkov test for Josh Hokit. I think that's a really interesting fight. I think that Josh Hokit with a single leg could do some real work against Volkov, But, you know, Volkov has that range and height for the striking. So it will be an interesting matchup to see that. Maybe you could do it in a 5-round main event. You could also just put that as like a feature fight on the main card. We'll see what they do with Hokit. I know he's pretty controversial now, and with the Michelle Obama shit he said after that fight. So we'll see what the UFC wants to do with this guy. Ruffy versus Chandler was not competitive at all. Everyone predicted this to happen, so I'm not gonna act like I picked this right and I'm like a genius for it. Chandler doesn't get his pistol squat moment though, which is kind of sad for him. Like pistol squat moment Chandler is like at least that's like a win for Chandler, you know? One thing I knew about Michael Chandler going into this fight is that if he got like a moment at the White House, it would be enough for him. Like he could retire. He would get like a sick post-fight speech in his wrestling singlet, putting his wrestling shoes on, just getting hyped, you know, a little ball of energy. But man, he got fucked up in this fight. Like Mauricio Ruffy was just getting like he was in UFC 6 flow state like the entire match, just building momentum. And it's not even like his shots. He landed like a tiny shovel uppercut, which sent Michael Chandler flying. I don't understand. Mauricio Ruffy must have like the death touch because that barely looked like it touched him, but he went flying. And Chandler was getting hit by like spinning wheel kicks on the guard, but such thudding blows to his head that you could tell he was just getting concussed. He was tripping over his own feet. He was like, it just wasn't cute, man. It wasn't cute for Michael Chandler anymore. It was rough to watch, if I'm being honest. I could see him retiring after this fight, but if he doesn't want to retire, man, I don't know. You run a fight with like an OG, or run a fight with like Bobby Green or something. Probably gets fucked up by Bobby Green. As for Mauricio Ruffy, probably just the loser of this BSD Patty fight, I think is a warranted matchup. Like I really want to, I don't know. I think he would do good against BSD in a rematch, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see what's next for Ruffy because, you know, a fight with Chandler always leaves you in a weird spot in the division because unless you're like Paddy Pimblett and you just get a title shot right away, you're kind of like shooting yourself in the foot because you're beating a guy who has no wins. Kind of a tough look. For a more interesting fight, the final fight of the card that we're going to talk about is Steve Garcia versus Diego Lopes. This was competitive kind of while it lasted. It was more just like Steve Garcia just poking and prodding at range at Diego Lopes, doing what he probably should have done for 3 rounds if he wanted to win. The bonuses on this card were huge, and I don't think that Steve Garcia at the White House was looking to just get like a pitter-patter decision where he tags Diego Lopes in a few moments. The second he tried to go to war with Diego Lopes, he just got fucking KO'd in this fight. It was pretty spot on prediction from my end. I said the second that Steve Garcia would come forward, he would get clipped and knocked out. Nobody can really bang with Diego Lopes in the UFC. Honestly, it's pretty crazy that people were really picking Steve Garcia when this guy couldn't get finished by Gene Silva. I think Gene Silva is a lot more dangerous and has a more like varied bag on the feet compared to Steve Garcia. As much as I like to see Volk versus Lopes 3, you know, I think that the stylistic matchup, not much needs to be said. We just said Volk Lopes 3, and like everyone's looking down, you know, everyone's working on their notes, but everyone looks up. But the truth is that Diego Lopes is probably not going to get a title shot again. So what I think is going to happen is that we're going to see Diego Lopes needs to fight Yair Rodriguez next, because Yair Rodriguez, buddy, you've been holding on to this ranking for I think a year and a half now. You haven't fought. You fought Pitbull. Like, bro, you're an Aaron Pico victim. So I think that he needs to fight or needs to get out of the rankings. They have history. There was the whole Kulan moment. So I'd love to see them run that fight in Mexico. I think that would be a banger. Yair Rodriguez would actually give Diego Lopes a lot of issues with the kicks, but I still think Lopes would win that fight. Not a prediction though. And for Steve Garcia, I think Steve Garcia could fight like a Yusuf Zalal next. I think that would be a good matchup because Yusuf Zalal kind of got like walked down in his last fight, and like Steve Garcia will walk you down if you can be walked down. So I think Zalal needs to kind of be tested. Overall, this card was sick. I loved it, but man, that main event just kind of ruined everything. My whole philosophy on the UFC kind of hinged on the fact that Ilia Topuria was this perfect fighter. Like, well, no, not perfect, but like Ilia Topuria was like the next evolution. He was the best fighter of all time. Truth is, you can't be the best fighter of all time if you're losing to Justin Gaethje, who's 38 years old. Fighters lose, man. That's one thing that I think we need to get out of our heads. Like, what Khabib did, it's crazy, and it's not the norm. I thought that Ilia was really going to be him. I thought he was on the same level as like Islam, Khabib, John Jones, you know, the true most dominant fighters of all time, but It was a tough result, tough pill to swallow as an Ilia Topuria fan, definitely. I feel like he could have won that fight. I feel like in round 2 he did kind of throw it away. But it was a great night of fights. I was happy with the Cyril pick. Can't help but feel like, you know, one thing is that I did post on my TikTok. I posted that little grid that everyone posts. You know, when the UFC Instagram posts all the fights, posted that Ilia Topuria had already won his fight, and I wrote like, oh, this is assuming that Ilia goes and sleeps Justin Gaethje. And I paid for it. I ended up, I think I jinxed us all. I jinxed Ilia Topuria. It's just, wow, it's weird, man. It was so cool. Like, he's so cool. Like, when he was walking out to the octagon, he's like, gets on top of the White House and he's overlooking the whole cage. I'm like, man, this guy's so cool. But he's a cocky little bastard, you know, and he got his comeuppance. So Justin Gaethje really sunned him. He really beat him up. He beat him up. Anyways, guys, I'll see you in the next video. I'm going to cope about this for a while. There is a real possibility that Ilia Topuria is like never able to take damage again, and we have to consider this guy as someone who never even like wins fights. But I still think that he can come back. I'm not off the Ilia Topuria train yet.
Thank you very much, sir. And everybody, thank you. And this is still